The name's Alan, George Allen. Welcome back to the Just George Allen Show. And in today's episode, if you can't guess from that, or even that, we are talking about James Bond. Now, James Bond to me is one of the best movie series of all time. It spans over 25 movies with six different actors from 1962 to present day. Obviously, the last movie was in 2021, which was No Time to Die. But obviously, that movie was supposed to come out, I think, in 2020. But because of the pandemic, they moved it a year to 2021. So, yeah, it's a movie series I've really enjoyed watching over the years. Obviously, the first movie, Dr. No, was in 1962. And then Sean Connery was the actor then. And he took the role from 1962 till 1971. He did 6 movies in that time, and then in between his 6 movies in 1969, George Lazenby did his one and only movie, which was on Her Majesty's Secret Service. Now, during that time period between Sean Connery's 5th movie and his 6th movie, that's when Lazenby did his movie. And then after Sean Connery did his 6th and final James Bond movie, there was Roger Moore, who came in 1973 all the way till 1985. Now, Roger Moore even did 7 movies of James Bond, starting off with Live and Let Die, and then ending on A View to a Kill. From 1987 to 1989, Timothy Dalton took the role of James Bond, and his first one was called The Living Daylights, his first movie, and his second movie was called License to Kill. Now, as you would have seen on this cup here, License to Bill instead of kill, through the job that I do. That means that because 007 is a 00 agent, he's allowed to kill basically for Queen and country. Obviously now it would be for King and country, but yes, being a 00 agent allows you to basically have the license to kill. Obviously only when extreme measures call for it. But yeah, if you don't know the general premise of James Bond, I will continue on with all the other movies. But the general premise is that he's a British agent working for MI6, and that he basically has to travel the world and stop basically bad criminal minds from, exploiting other people around the world, either via extortion or via, I don't know, holding everyone up for ransom. There's various plots to James Bond. I won't go into all of them. I don't want to bore the life out of everyone. But yeah, he basically, every movie, most don't continue on. They're usually like separate movies, but some occasions, one movie will lead on to the next movie. The Daniel Craig movies, for example, are all one story. So, which is good because you get to see progression of the character throughout the 5 movies that Daniel Craig did as James Bond. So yeah, going back to 1989, where we got to License to Kill with Timothy Dalton. That was his last movie. He did 2, and then Pierce Brosnan took the role from 1995. So there was a 6-year gap between Timothy Dalton's James Bond and Pierce Brosnan's James Bond. So in 1995 to 2002, Pierce Brosnan was James Bond. Now, his first movie was called GoldenEye, and I did mention GoldenEye in 2 episodes ago in the video games episode. So GoldenEye was my first video game that I played James Bond-wise, and the first movie I watched James Bond-wise. So I was very hooked on James Bond immediately after watching and playing GoldenEye. Probably the first movie of James Bond that I watched was Live and Let Die with Roger Moore. So his first one. Which was quite scary as a kid watching that. Seeing we were near Halloween still. But yeah, that was quite an experience to watch that one. And then my first Sean Connery movie was probably Goldfinger, I would say, if I had to guess. Or Thunderball, one of the two. But yeah, so yes, Pierce Brosnan took the role from 1995 to 2002. And then Daniel Craig took the role from 2006 to 2021, and he did 5 movies. So if you've been crunching the numbers, it means Craig did the 3rd most amount of James Bond movies. Then it was Sean Connery in 2nd place with 6, and then Roger Moore with 7. Lazenby did 1, and then Dalton did 2. So that covers all of the Bonds, hopefully in a very clear format. You might have noticed when I've been moving up and down that my top says 007 Viagra. It was a funny top I bought at Comic-Con in May. It says 007 Viagra. It won't make you James Bond, if I just move quickly, but it will make you Roger Moore. Funny and clever. Hey ho. But yes, that's James Bond in a summary format. I will obviously go through the movies. I'll go probably in more detail about the video games as well. There isn't really much any other media that James Bond was in. Obviously, there is a spin-off movie called, which is not part of the series, hence why I haven't mentioned it until now, which was Never Say Never Again, where they brought Sean Connery back in to be in the role of Bond. I think it was basically some dispute over the script of Thunderball, which the person who made Never Say Never Again, I think, won the lawsuit or whatever, and they were able to make the movie again. So I think Thunderball came out, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe like 1965, and then Never Say Never Again I think came out in 1983. I think the only reason I know that is because it came out the same year as Octopussy with Roger Moore in 1983, and Octopussy isn't exactly the greatest. It wouldn't be in my top 5 James Bonds, but it still outperformed it in the box office. So it was never going to compete with it, but yeah, it was a very strange movie. Have a look into it yourselves. It's bizarre that they brought Sean Connery back after 12 years of not being Bond. But that's kind of it for this episode. It's been great to see everyone's comments throughout the previous episodes, and I've definitely took on board what people have been saying, and gonna maybe do some episodes based off what people have told me. I would like to one day show you me playing these video games. That's one of the comments I had in the comment section. So yeah, maybe throw out some ideas of games that I could show you. Maybe when I spoke about Resident Evil before, you might want me to play that, and you can see me playing it, and I could maybe put my commentary over it. But yeah, I'm completely open for ideas. But yeah, this is episode 7, 007. And I've been your host, George Allen. So yeah, please like this episode, comment again, let me know what your first James Bond movie was, or if you've even seen James Bond. You might not have, but yeah, thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. See you later.